Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Empowerment Exchange with Bree and Pat. Thank you for joining us tonight. And please, if you have any comments on what we talk about tonight or any suggestions, please be sure to add them in the comment section because we do want to hear from our audience. Tonight, we're going to talk about something that many people struggle with, and that's who are you after life happens to you? You're more than what has happened to you. Life always brings rejection, loss, illness, trauma, disappointment, failure, and many unexpected changes. And sometimes we decide that that's who we are as a person or individual. When we get divorced, we say, I'm divorced. When we're sick, I'm sick. When we're abandoned, we say, I'm abandoned, or I'm a survivor or a victim. These things have a tendency of labeling us along with the things that society or people label on top of us. And most of them tend to have a negative connotation. So today we're going to try to shift the way that you think and how you identify yourselves and give you a way to speak more positively or think positively about the things that you go through in life or the things that you might experience in life. Some of the things that you might do to change that mind frame is instead of saying, this happened to me, or I failed this. You might want to say what I chose to do didn't work out this way. I'm going to try it another way. But you're not defining yourself as a failure, as attaching that negative label. You don't want to attach negative labels to yourself because that has a way of seeping into your spirit and making you feel down about things, down about life, and the things that you are trying to do. We all fail. We all are going to experience heartaches and hardships and trials and tribulations. There's no way to avoid that. That's part of life. So instead of describing yourself or labeling yourself based upon something that has happened in the past, how about you start labeling and talking about who you want to be, who you are now, and who you are in the future versus what has happened to you in the past. You know, you can not work out a situation and you can learn something from it. You didn't fail, you learned something. That was a learning experience, right? So that has a more positive connotation than something else, than having the negative. What are your thoughts, Bree?
Well, first, greetings, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. I am sorry that my presence is not seen, but I am here. So, Pat, one more time, what was your question? I'm sorry, Pat, I can't hear you.
The question is, do you agree that people use their circumstances and situations in life as a label, as who they are, as their identity? Like, I'm a divorcee, I failed at this, I'm a failure, I'm a survivor, things of that nature. And how do you feel that impacts a person seeing themselves in the future and in their current state?
Yes, okay. Yes, yes, I do believe when someone is facing, and y'all forgive me, I do believe that when someone is facing um, trauma or something that they have been through, like you said, divorce, loss of a position, we do tend to just identify us as that what happened to us instead of using. I think it all has to do with positive language, positive influence.
Right.
Hold
I
on.
agree. I agree with what Bria is saying about the positive reinforcement to yourself is important.
And I'm
Go ahead,
sorry,
Bria.
y'all. I'm just keeping it. I'm just being real. I am multitasking today, but all you got. It's always important. I always try to put the mission first, guys. But Yes, Pat. So, good topic. Because again, we are more than what happened to us. So, labeling ourselves as the problem or as the what we've been through, we should do better in speaking more positive about it.
Right? Because we oftentimes we have survived things. We survived divorce. We survived the illness. We survived the trauma. But the key thing that we need to understand is that survival is not the end state. You know, once you survive something, you want to heal from it. You want to grow from it. You want to keep dreaming and keep putting your best foot forward. You want to be able to laugh again. I survived it. Okay, but you still want that laughter and that positivity and that creativity to become more in your life, because just surviving is never your end state at all. You know, so speak positively to yourself, speak kindly to yourself, you know, dream again. Don't, it's so hard a lot of times when we go through things that are really heartfelt, when we lose a parent, a sibling, a marriage, a job, that's something that really meant something to us. We have a tendency of, you know, sometimes we get stuck in a place of sadness or in a place of limbo, as we've talked about before, and we assign ourselves the label of I'm unsuccessful because the way that we tried to do things didn't work, or because we're not in that job, or because we got laid off. When the fact of the matter is it may not have had anything to do with you. And if it was something that you tried and you were unsuccessful, instead of just tossing that dream or that desire to the side, take time, step back, reassess the situation, and just recalibrate and try it another way. I think it's very important for us to do that, because if you don't believe in you, if you don't have that faith in yourself, if you don't have that desire, if you don't have that conviction that keeps you moving forward, you know, and keep you being positive about yourself, then, excuse me, a lot of times we can make ourselves have a lot of anxiety and depression about things. Bree?
Yes, I agree. Now, I'm sorry I had to step out, but I am back. So, to summarize up, Pat, with a little bit, I heard you say that we come down on ourselves too hard, and then
Yes, when we don't, right.
go ahead.
Yes, so I feel that sometimes when like if we get divorced or we lose a job, or we tried a business or something and it wasn't quite as successful as we wanted it to be, then we attach a label to ourselves of failure.
Yeah, yeah,
You
being
know,
we're a failure, we're not good enough,
right.
we're weak. We tend to just come down, like you said, harder on ourselves instead. That's why I say, speaking positivity, putting positive words are truly, the power is within the tongue. That's what I will say, that we have to learn that we have so much power when we speak, that we need to learn to speak to our. Sorry, y'all. We need to learn to speak more positive about the things, and be more positive about the things that we speak into our life. Because if you think you're a failure, then you stay stuck in that one place. You don't try to progress. You just feel like, hey, I'm a failure, and that just beats yourself down more. So yes, I agree.
That's so true. We should start asking ourselves questions like, who am I becoming because of what happened to me? Or who do I want to become by not choosing not to stay in that situation, or not to think negatively? Because survival, once again, is not where our story ends. You know, you can say things to yourself such as, I've experienced rejection, but I do not have to live rejected. I may have experienced failure, but I'm not a failure. I may have experienced heartbreak, but I can still love again. These are all
That's
positive
yeah,
things that we can say to ourselves.
right,
Go ahead,
right.
Bree.
I agree. No, I agree totally with that. Again, positive reinforcement. I totally agree with what you just said. We have to overcome and get through. Because again, when somebody in a relationship, I'll just say, you go through. You always hear people say that I'm never going to get married again, or I'm not going to do this again. Why do we do that? There's so many people on this planet. We put too many stipulations in what we believe in ourselves. And I'll say that one thing that we have to learn to do is believe in ourselves more, forgive ourselves, better, and then we can begin to heal from the things that we fall short on and know that we can build from there.
Yes, because sometimes we listen to what people say about us, which honestly is none of our business, and then we are negative. The way Bree said, we don't talk positively enough about ourselves. Not half as much as we will talk positivity into the lives of other people, our friends, our family, and try and build other people up. A lot of times we fail to build ourselves up. We fail to be that positive cheerleader in our own corner, but we're steady cheerleading somebody else's corner, except the most important person is to cheerlead yourself. You beat yourself down. And I'm one of those people that I always say I'm my hardest critic. But when I say I'm my hardest critic, it's because I expect more of myself. I expect myself to push myself harder, but I try not to call myself a failure or say that I failed at something. Okay, I might not have succeeded. So now it's time for me to take a step back. It's time for me to look at, okay, where could I have done something better? Where do I need to change and where do I need to grow? Because every unsuccessful event is only means of growing and learning from whatever happened that did not work in that particular situation. And you grow and you learn from those situations and circumstances, and you put those key nuggets in your pocket. And when you see it again, and when you're trying to do it again, you adjust fire and you make those corrections so that, what you have will keep moving forward. The way you see yourself, if you just take the time and rephrase what you say to yourself and about yourself, you would be amazed at how much your confidence, can increase just by saying positive things about yourself and to yourself and your situation and circumstances. And it is hard to do that at times, especially with the economy as it is right now. Stuff is high, stuff is changing. Money is going a lot faster than it used to. And everybody's kind of like, we're trying to manage life the best we can right now. And sometimes it's easy to become negative, and look at it with everything that's going on in the world. But, you have to try to find that silver lining in, everyday things and in yourself, especially. Bree?
Yes, we should be careful with the labels that we accept. Okay, for our veterans being divorced or abused, I know if I went through a series of abuse, but that doesn't mean that I'm just going to accept that label and target myself and bring more things in my life to be abused, right? So, failure, addiction, we have so many things. These words, they may describe something real, but they don't describe the whole person. You know what I mean? So there's a difference between saying, I've experienced this and allowing that experience to become the definition of who I am. But then we have to ask at some point that the language we use about our past, they can start keeping us connected to it. So we have to really just get rid of those labels and those things that try to identify. We are, again, as it says in my book, my past does not define me. Things that I've went through do not define who I am. I want to ask the audience, if they ever realized that they were introducing yourself through something that had happened rather than through who you're becoming, you know? Again,
Exactly.
write in the comments and put these, we come on here every Tuesday and Thursday to get interaction with you guys. As y'all see, I am multitasking for the people. I am multitasking because these are good conversations that we're having, good topics, and we want to hear from you because you are more than what happened to you. And once we realize this, we can begin to move forward in our lives instead of being stuck in the our past experiences and learn to move on, move forward. Like, how do we do that? How do we do that? I know there are people that are asking, well, how do I unstick myself? How do I become what God called me to be? These are good questions, and I'm sure Pat is going to give you some of some of the answers to this. So, Pat, go ahead.
Yes, as you guys know, like Bree said, we are big on transformation. Because transformation is is lifelong. It's putting yourself in a new state, permanently, not just for a small period of time. And the big thing we're talking about now is the identity reset. You have to reset your identity of yourself, away from that negativity associated with things that have happened to you. What happens to you is not you. It's just something that happened in your lifetime, and some questions to ask yourself and be honest with them and give like answers to these questions are: one, what happened to you? Be honest about what happened to you. You don't have to minimize it, and you don't have to pretend that it didn't hurt. You have to grieve through that hurt, grieve through that loss, grieve through whatever it is in order to start healing from it.
That's
Two,
good, Pat. That's good right there. I love what you said. I love what you said. You don't have to minimize what happened to you in order to move forward. And I think that
right,
that is very important for someone to understand that they are more again than what happened to them. You should you, you should never sound like number one. I don't want people to think like we're just saying get over it. It's
right,
like when people are grieving. Nobody has a time on grieving. Take your time, but at the same time, heal day by day. We can acknowledge that things in life are painful, even unfair, or life changing, and still decide that it doesn't get to have permanent ownership over our future. When we lose someone, we realize that they're gone, and people can't. Some people who are grieving, they don't want to hear that they're in a better place, and that's understood. But at some point in time, we have to come into the reality that we're not here. They're not here with us now, but we will see them again. And okay, how do I heal and move forward without my loved one in my life? And when it comes to a position, maybe someone has won it, or you keep looking for jobs and you're never getting the jobs that you want. Again, you have to, find ways to come outside that box. You're not a failure. You just have to think outside the box. But anyway, Pat, I just wanted to say that was good. You don't have to minimize in order to move forward.
exactly. And another thing is, question you can ask yourself this week is, what did I start believing about myself because of the situation that I went through? Maybe you started believing that you're not enough, that people will always lose you, or that you just can't trust people. And after
Mm.
you write those things down, then sit back and think about it and ask, is this true? Or am I just talking from a place of pain and hurt?
Right.
Um, and if you're talking from a place of pain and hurt, that's not a true statement. That's not a true fact. And then you can start adjusting the way in which you see things. Another good question to ask yourself is, who do I choose to become now?
Right. Hmm.
Who you were in the past, it's gone. You can't change the past, but your past does not define your present or your future.
And that's good too. That's Hey, you got some
Go
good
ahead.
ones there today because you may not have chosen. We don't choose what happens to us, but at some point you have to say, do I have choices about what I do next? I have choice. What do I do next? Okay, I didn't get this position. Okay, I didn't get this job. Okay, I didn't get this promotion. But what do you do next? Do you continue to sit and beat down yourself and, okay, I am divorced. Okay, look, my husband I am his third wife. Now, again, when you're young, sometimes you make poor decisions or whatever, but you just can't sit and say, I'm not going to do this again. I give up. I'm not, you don't become, a failure or things don't work just because it doesn't happen. And look, you're going to learn in life that you have to get up and brush yourself off a
Right.
couple of times. Life is going to life until it can't life no more. What choice are you going to make to live the best life that you have? So yeah.
That's so true, Bree. We don't have dominion over, what happens to us, what happens in our lives. And a lot of people really need to hear and understand that. And people need to understand and say to themselves, I'm more than what happened to me.
That's right.
My pain does not define me. My past does not own me. And my mistakes do not disqualify me. And the opinions of others do not determine your worth. You're allowed to heal. You're allowed to change. You're allowed to grow. And you're allowed to become unstoppable.
That's right.
Your story is not over just because of any life situation or circumstances. And you have to say to yourself that you will not allow that one chapter in your life to become the title for your entire life. You have to close that chapter and start writing a new one as to who and where you are right now. And as you think about this for the rest of the week or on and off, I'd like to issue a challenge to you guys. So the challenge is to write some I am statements, at least 5 about yourself. Not about it.
Oh,
I
yes,
mean,
I love
it
that.
could be about anything, um, but write I am statements about yourself. Don't use your diagnosis or your trauma or your relationship status or your job or anything like that. Write statements that say, I am resilient. I am compassionate. I'm courageous. I'm worthy. I'm healing. I'm becoming. And those are positive statements you can write about yourself on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, and just write them down and go in and review them periodically when you're going through those hard, rough times, and you can look back and say, I thought about this. I was in a similar situation with myself where I was hurting from something and I was allowing the pain to speak for me, but the pain wasn't speaking my truth. So, I think that's important that we do those things, because what happened to me explains part of your journey, but it does not determine your destination.
And that's right.
So,
Pat. I love everything, and I hope I pray that our audience, takes those challenges and push themselves forward. Even before y'all go to bed, you just maybe finish a sentence that says, "What happened to me was, blank, and but who I'm becoming is blank," whatever that is. I really hope that you guys are taking these conversations and working through them. So that was real good, Pat. I think I'm going to do that myself this week. I am bold. I am beautiful. So many times as growing up or whatever, in my past marriage, I was always led to believe that I wasn't beautiful. So what I do now is I am beautiful. I look at my children say, Mom, how could you think you wasn't beautiful? We look just like you. What, are we ugly too? So I like that, Pat. I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm going to be doing that right now. I am somebody. I like that.
exactly, yes. And then, as we get ready to close out this live for today, there are a couple of things that I want you to think about. There will always be chapters in your life you don't choose. There will be moments that you cannot change. There will be experiences that leave scars, but the experiences do not have the final word. You don't live there anymore. You are more than what happened to you, but you still get to decide who you become next. Put in the comments, I am becoming blank. If you're becoming stronger, if you're becoming more resilient, put in the comments, I am becoming stronger. I am healing. And yes, XYZ happened to me, but my story is still being written. And I would like to thank you guys for being here and tuning in and listening every week on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7-ish with Dr. Bree and Pat. And yes, 7-ish. And we look forward to seeing your comments and responding to your comments, because this is a powerful topic. This is so hard to be down on ourselves, especially with what's going on now. And we just want you guys to be positive, think positive, and become unstoppable. Once again, Thank you for joining, and we'll see you on Thursday.
See you guys.